Hello and welcome to day 2 of our Tommy Flowers Network Spring 2021 conference. We had a fantastic day yesterday with some really thought-provoking presentations and lively discussion about what collaboration and collaboration success has meant for some of the participants. If you missed that, you can check it all out on our YouTube channel. It's live on there now, and there's a link to that in the chat on the Vimeo page.
Yeah, thanks, Carol. So welcome to day 2. We've got some great presentations lined up for you today, all around the theme of the conference presentations and great collaboration. Also, at BT, we work with a number of different university partners, 30 plus, and today we're lucky enough to have the wonderful Gilbert Owusu here to talk about some of the collaborative work that he does within his applied research team. Hi, Gilbert.
Hi, Simon. Thank you very much.
That's great. Take it away. Thank you.
I'm delighted to welcome Professor Hani Hagras from University of Essex, Dr. Rupal Mandania from University of Loughborough, Dr. Ken Reed from Michigan State University, and Dr. Carl Martin from Robert Gordon University to share with us some of the benefits that BT and our university partners have gained through our collaboration. A lot of great work has come through working with these academic partners. We've actually had some of the students being recruited by BT. We've seen benefits being realized in our operations, filed patents together, published together, and done some great many things together. So we'll kick off by asking each of our panelists to share with us their experience, their history with BT, and some of the projects. So Rupal, if you're happy to start, that would be great. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm Rupal Mandania. I'm a lecturer in management science at Loughborough University in the School of Business Economics. And I've been working with BT since about 2006 when I started my PhD. So I did my PhD in revenue management, and we looked at how we could incorporate some pricing models to generate revenue using artificial intelligence. And then since then, I've had a number of PhD students working with BT on projects. So some of the projects we've been looking at is we looked at how we could include reducing admissions, and we developed some application which we incorporated in the system, which could help with decision making. So if we did introduce a new initiative, we could see the impact it would have on admissions. And then we did another project which was looking at reducing the risk of missing appointments. And we had a patent for this because we had a novel application of calculating risk. And this has also been incorporated in BT system, and it's a multi-objective system. So if the manager decides that they want to look at the risk element, they can. And the third project that we've been looking at was about forecasting intake in extreme weathers and how we should allocate resources in this situation by moving engineers geographically. And the project that we're working on at the moment is on electrical vehicles, and we're looking at how to allocate charging stations, and we're looking at how we can generate revenue from having charging stations, and possibly looking at virtual power plants and how we could charge at a certain time where it's off peak and then give back to the grid at peak time. So,
well, thank you very much, Rupal. That it's quite an extensive list, of course, going back to when we started working with you as a PhD student, and it's been great seeing some of the great work coming out of yourself and the team. Now go on to Hani. Have a rich history there with Hani and a number of students. We have recruited a number of your students as well, Hani. And please share with us your history with us and some of the work that we've been doing to date.
I've been working with BT since 2011. So it is actually 10 years now working with BT. We have worked in numerous projects, mainly about, in the field of explainable artificial intelligence and Internet of Things, with different applications to workforce allocation, capacity planning, mixed reality, simulation. We have got, I think, numerous patents. I lost the count. They are a big number. Very big number of publications in the top journals in the field, top conferences and books as well. as well as joint studentships and PhD students. I think we have worked together and graduated about between 10 research students or maybe more during the previous 10 years. Some of the students that we worked together ended up working now in BT, and they are BT colleagues now. We have got also research award-winning research. We have won together 2015-2017 Global Telecommunication Business Awards. We have won Best Paper Awards in one of the best conferences in application of artificial intelligence, which basically demonstrates the quality of the work that we have done together. And most importantly, also, BT was nominated by the IEEE as the outstanding organization in 2017, partly because of the work that we have been doing together. There have been also a lot of other awards that has been achieved by other organizations based on the work that we have done together. So it has been a fantastic journey, combining scientific advances from an academic point of view, but also making sure that it is applied research, where most of our research ended up in BT, generating products, patents, and work that has been actually managing different kinds of operations within BT for the previous 10 years in different real-world settings.
Thank you very much, Hani. Yep, we were exchanging emails today about a conference up as well. So yeah, I think a lot of good work there. Ken, please, you are now in the States. We wanted you to come join us, but of course, something pulled you up north. Would you be able to share with us, again, history and you know, how you found working with BT?
Of course, Gilbert, and thank you so much for having me here today. So I spent 4 years during my PhD in collaboration with BT from 2015 until 2019 or so. My PhD was based on an employee scheduling project based in real-world problems using certain types of artificial intelligence known as meta-heuristics and math heuristics in order to very efficiently produce schedules for employees that allow them to work the skills that they like, skills that they are more skilled in, as well as working to the times that they prefer. It also helps clients meet their demand expectations and such as well. So there's clear real-world needs for that kind of project. So I was brought on to work on that. I got to work on site to actually collaborate and produce real-world usable software, which was a really incredibly useful opportunity to both improve my own skills, have use of real-world data to actually work on real problems instead of just theoretical ones. And also allowed me to make really useful network connections and meet interesting and fascinatingly intellectual people and learn from them. Now I'm in the States. I work at Michigan State University on an entirely different work, and I work in genetics. So my basis of my career was with BT. And so I have to thank you all for the time over the past few years and working with you.
Oh, thank you very much, Ken. And yeah, Carl, you just finished your PhD not long ago, working with us. Will be good to get your perspectives as well on your experience with BT.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, Gilbert. As you say, I'm not that long finished my PhD, so I can now proudly say I'm Dr. Kyle Martin, the buzz of which has still not quite gone away, I must admit. So I completed my PhD working with BT, and the focus of our project was trying to reuse some of the experience that was generated by telecommunications engineers. So telecommunications engineers spend a good number of years building up expertise in the maintenance and sustainment of telecommunications equipment. And this is a very valuable thing, this knowledge of employee experience that they create. And so the goal of my project working with BT was to try and find a way to reuse some of these experience using machine learning. And we went about that by taking the notes that were recorded by telecommunications engineer as part of their daily work, as part of auditing procedures and so on, and used those records of experience to do a couple of different NLP and case-based reasoning tasks, with the focus being on the ability to recommend information to both experts and non-experts, so that telecommunications engineers could reuse something, the information and the expertise that their colleagues had built up, and the people who were supporting them, sometimes these desk-based agents or their managers who maybe hadn't had the opportunity to build up these expertise in some scenarios, were given the support that they needed to help make their own decisions about the information and the daily work. And I must say that I felt that was a very successful collaboration. It, as Ken has already said, it gave me a lot of insight into how research is actually being used by people and how the work that we're doing with machine learning can have this practical impact on real world experiences. And the result of that work gave me a very keen interest in explainability and making sure that we were able to explain the output of the decisions that we were making, to support these engineers. This, in turn, our work with BT on explainability led to a best paper at the AI conference, the SGAI AI conference, and ultimately provided further motivation for us to work together to a successful European funding grant, which I'm proud to say I'm co-investigator on, and RGU and BT are partners in the consortium. So,
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Cal. And of course, there are multiple stakeholders when it comes to collaborating with universities. You have the university, the students, the supervisor, of course, the company, and in some cases, funding bodies. I mean, we work with the Scottish Data Lab as well, EPSRC and so on. Maybe to you, Ken, how do you go about balancing these multiple objectives, ensuring that you keep everybody happy, as it were, because we'll be pulling on you, or we pull on you, to make sure that you deliver capabilities that we could use operationally. How did you go about balancing all those objectives? Yeah.
Yes, the balancing objectives it can be difficult. Thankfully, I was very lucky in my project because my main project was employee scheduling, which was inherently based in real-world problems. So the main takeaway that I got and learned over the years is clear, concise communication between the company and myself and my supervisors was very much key. There were times where I would make false assumptions about how certain problems were constructed or certain problems that schedules might cause, and it turned out to be incorrect. So clear communication throughout is really essential to ensuring that those kind of problems can be solved at the design stage instead of the implementation stage, saving both time and money for everybody involved. Yeah.
No, that's Claire, thanks a lot. And Carl, of course, how did you find that? I mean, in your case as well, making sure that you keep your supervisors happy whilst delivering value to the company. How did you go about doing that?
Yeah, and I think it's a very interesting point of discussion, because it really sounds like this scary thing. You get reinforced to you that maybe the needs of research is not always aligned with the practical real-world needs of a company. And initially that had been quite intimidating to me when I started that research. And then it sort of struck a chord with me not long after I'd started and we were working together, that what Ken had said, this idea of communication, was really important. But more than that, even though there is this disconnect, we are all working to the same goal. And it's being able to ensure that we're able to see that we're working to the same goal. So to give an example, you'll often hear that universities are only interested in publishing and companies are only interested in products, which we know it's just not true, right? Companies themselves are interested in innovation. Universities have a keen interest in patents. And I think one of the things that really helped me to try and reinforce this bond is to think in terms of what can I get that is, in the first instance, working and useful to the people who actually intend to use it. Now that I've got something that is genuinely meaningful and will genuinely make a difference to the company, what can I do to take it that one step further and build on it so that it's a genuine scientific innovation? And I think that process helped a lot because it meant we always started from a place where we were thinking, what do people actually need from our research? And the next step allowed us to ask the question of how can we take what they need and take it one step further? So we know what they need now. How can we take it one step further so that we're answering what they might need in a year or two time after we've made this for them?
No, thank you very much. And it's been good to get perspectives from the supervisors. So we have Rupal and Hani. Rupal, if you want to share, again, what is it that you are looking for from a university point of view or from a supervisor's point of view when it comes to engaging with us?
So we are looking for innovative problems, things which are new. And when we're looking at, like for BT, introducing electric vehicles is new, and that is new for research as well. So we're finding new projects so we can make a new contribution to research, but also it's a new innovative thing for BT. So I guess it's balancing not just what is the practical problem, but trying to make some new research contribution. And it might just be that we have a problem that is new, or we might then have to develop a methodology that is new for us, but we should be answering your problem maybe in a simpler way, but developing our research in a more complex way.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Rupal. And Hani, I mean, of course, you lead on type 2 fuzzy logic and have been working with some of the top researchers in this space as well. From your point of view, what would you deem to be a successful PhD project? Okay. One for the company and also from the university's angle. And I know that you have led on the impact case for the computing department at Essex for a number of years. If you're able to share with us, what is it that you've been looking for during these engagements, please?
Well, I think as different colleagues in the panel has mentioned, Gilbert, a partnership is a partnership. It means it needs to work for everyone. At the end of the day, we are working towards one common goal, which is industrial-led research. From my own point of view, because I'm an engineer by training, it's very important that I see my own research being applied in a real-world problem that affects everybody across the country and maybe beyond, which is not an easy target because in order for you to have a successful collaboration, either on the PhD student level or on a research project level, because of course we have engaged in different kind of forms with BT, you need to make sure that you have got innovation. As Ken and Kyle have mentioned, without BT is leader in innovation. So you need to come up with a problem which is not innovation only from the technical point of view, but from the scientific point of view. The challenge here is not to pull in different directions, not because universities and academia have got different criteria. Publications are very important to any student. We have got, of course, our different kind of supervisory panels and different kind of checkpoints for a student progress or a research progress. So I think it's always important to pull in one same direction. That if you started with innovation and from a scientific point of view, and you made sure that this is going to be implemented in a product which is going to be beneficial to BT, realizing value. There is no point that you're just going to say, okay, fine, guys, 3 years, I'm going to give you something. You need to begin realizing different kind of milestones and deliverables, like any kind of project, so that BT can actually begin evaluating this kind of innovation and begin contributing to it. It's very important not only to rely on our own point of view. It's very important to speak to the people in the ground. Some of our successful projects' main success came from speaking to the engineers, the people who are going to use the tool. What are their kind of feedback on this? This enabled us not only to do something that it works, and from a scientific point of view, I can write a paper, we can publish a patent application, to basically making sure it is a tool which is practical, used every day to make a very good impact for BT, for the society, for the customer base that BT is serving, and enabling us to really come with innovation. If you basically put it in this kind of direction, everybody is going to be happy. University will be able to publish in top places. Of course, BT is also interested in publications, of course. Patents will come out of this. You'll be able to end up with best paper awards, awards, because this is something unique. And nowadays, with the changing landscape in universities, where impact is becoming a very important thing, this will be very important for universities as well, because impact contributes about 20 or 30% in our ref return, and it's going to come more and more important. And for BT, you don't only end up with a proof of concept or an idea that might work, but you end up with a tool ready for deployment in a live environment, helping BT customer base or BT engineering workforce to improve in different kind of directions. In this case, this is a successful recipe. And I can say it is very easy to speak about it, but of course, putting it in practice needs a lot of work from the academic supervisor, the colleagues in BT, and everybody needs to work in harmony. So I think establishing the relationship and the common understanding between the academic supervision team and the industrial supervision team and the researchers is very important, that everybody works in harmony and there is common understanding across the different parties.
Thank you very much, Hani. And of course, sometimes things don't go as planned. Okay, we do have students who don't live up to expectation, they drop out, and so on. Rupal, any thoughts on how we go about managing such scenarios when they do arise?
Yeah, so I had a PhD student who was there before I went on maternity leave, and when I came back, he wasn't there. So then we have to think about what funds are left and then try and... So with this project, the project was very interested. We wanted to continue with the project. We lost the student, but we did have some of the funding left there, and we tried to look for some funding to build up the rest of the money that we needed, and then we recruited again, and then we made the screening process a bit tougher for the next student. But now it's going on quite well with the new students. So I think we have to kind of try to identify when things are going to go wrong, and then what kind of backup strategies can we have. And the university are quite good because they did help and support with bridging the gap of students that PhD's not for everybody. And identify this early on, then we can make sure that we always keep students which are willing to go through with the project.
No, thanks.
And also, I was going to say, also students are different. So some students are quite self-motivated and they can collaborate with the industry supervisor by themselves. Some students need you to bridge that gap to feel that comfort so that the communication goes well. So I think the supervisor also has to kind of see what the needs are of the student to make sure that the student is feeling comfortable so that they can go through with the project.
No, thanks. And probably, of course, looking at how we recruit, top class students, if I may use that term, what will be your suggestions on that? I mean, probably Carl, you just, if you ask that again, or you are sitting on the other side working with us, how would you go about ensuring that we get the right students? Yeah. Carl, please.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, totally misunderstood who that was directed at there, so no embarrassment on my part whatsoever. But no, I think in terms of making sure you get the right student and making sure that the collaboration is ultimately successful, I think there are two sides of the same coin. So there's a lot of what Rupal has said that I totally agree with. Some students come and are very inherently motivated and they push themselves because there is something they want to achieve. is very much a game of motivation and persistence. You have to be motivated to want it for yourself, because otherwise you're not going to be able to persist for the times that get really difficult. Because there are times in the PhD that are difficult. It doesn't matter who's going through it. There are times that are challenging. There are times where you've went to bed for the 5th night in the row and the algorithm just doesn't work and you're still trying to figure out why. It happens. And I think one of the key aspects is making sure that the people who are doing the project are really, really committed to its success. Because in terms of the opportunities that an industrial collaboration offers you, I think they're tremendous. One of the turning points for me was seeing the real people using my research. And this is something that Hani and others on this call have already said. When you've got an industrial collaborator and you've got that partnership going on, there was a light bulb moment for me when I realized, hang on, this is a real person I am making a system for. This is the guy I went and visited an exchange with yesterday, who this will be useful for and meaningful for. And I think a lot of that ties back to some of the talks we heard yesterday about meaningfulness, reinforcing this idea that you're creating something meaningful and helping it give work, present it in that way. And in that sense, I think the industry has got this fantastic opportunity, because you are building something meaningful. You're building something that will hopefully go into actual use, will make a difference to people's work, their life, their job, could increase their job satisfaction. And so I really think leveraging all these positive aspects of the industrial collaboration is so central to a successful industrial PhD partnership. At least it was for me. It really meant a lot to me and motivated me a lot that I could see these things.
Oh, thanks a lot, Carl. And I mean, location or call, we are now working from home, but spending time with us, co-location, we believe it's a key part of ensuring that we maximize positive outcomes from our collaboration. Carl, you spent quite a bit of time with us here in Industrial Park, and Ken as well. So, Ken, any thoughts on what you will say to someone wanting to work with us on a PhD project about the benefits of spending time with us here in Industrial Park? Yeah, Ken.
For sure. I think spending time in person has clear, obvious benefits. The in-person communication is, I know that we're here virtually, but there is no alternative to in-person communication. Body language, facial gestures, being able to have a discussion that isn't purely professional on topic can actually help in improving a relationship between individuals, and all that is very key in a project. I think you want to work with people that you're friendly with, and being on site and at Additional Park was incredibly useful for me. I met people with expertise that I could only dream of, and I learned from them. Both in the design phases when you're learning how to actually produce software that is efficient, is lacking in bugs, which is a good thing, and it works with modern frameworks, and is cutting edge in industry. Often you don't see that in academia. In academia, you're more interested in getting something that works, and then it's not necessarily about robustness. But when you're working in industry, you want to have something that's robust as well. And working with people who know that can actually teach us a lot. Even though in academia we teach software development, I think that one of the key places to learn from is actually industry. And that's one of the main reasons I really enjoyed working on site at Additional Park frequently, was I got to work with people who know their stuff, and who could provide me with lots of opportunities to learn from them as well.
No, thank you very much, Ken. Funding, okay. I mean, we are being squeezed. I believe the government as well, making sure that they optimize budgets and so on. Hani, Rupal, any thoughts on how we could improve on our collaboration and get as much money out there to help with what we do? Yeah, Rupal first, please.
Well, I think that if we make sure that the projects we are doing are having good impact and that we are submitting for the ref for impact cases, then we are making our cases stronger for getting funding. So the university offer types of funding, even if they're offering like match funding, it's competitive across the university. But if you have impact cases where projects are showing good impact, then we are more likely to get the funding. So I think when we are doing projects, we need to make sure that the outreach is big of the projects. And if we're looking at a good impact case, we're looking at the scale of the implementation. We should try and implement things that are going to be nationally given out. And then also we should be publishing all of our research, patents, of course. And then we also need to be collecting this evidence as we go along of what was, for example, if we're looking at the CO2 emissions, what was the CO2 emissions in tons prior to the implementation, then after the implementation. And we should also be focusing on looking at all the beneficiaries to the project. So it's not just BT as the organization, that's a quantitative kind of way, but what happens on a qualitative side, the managers are benefiting, they might find it easier to make decisions. And if we were looking at risks of missing appointments, then the engineers may feel more at ease that they're not going to miss appointments. So I think if we can try and build good impact cases from the projects that we are doing, then this paves the path easier for us in the future for getting funding.
Thanks, Rupal. And Jonathan from Innovate UK, it's similar questions. He's saying, where is the sweet spot for an agency such as Innovate UK to be involved in encouraging collaboration? So, Hani, if you want to.
Well, it's a sweet spot given Innovate UK, of course, remit is in industrial-led research. Research that is going to have immediate impact to the society. What we are speaking about here is BT. BT is one of, if not the biggest telecommunication company in the whole world. Of course, if you begin counting other subsidiaries like EE and others, basically you have got a complete coverage of the whole UK. You have got access to almost every household across the country. And in the different kind of universities, there exists a huge know-how of academic expertise. It is this kind of partnership between an organization like BT and universities, which is going to allow the UK to begin leading and basically being on the forefront of different kind of important technologies like 5G, Internet of Things, and most importantly, artificial intelligence. Because in this case, you are going to bring the two strong points, academic excellence, which is where UK is one of the most important and leading countries when it comes to computer science and engineering research, together with the technical expertise and innovation of a big organization like BT. If you begin putting the two together with funding behind this from an organization like Innovate UK, with specific calls, which are basically, and specific projects which are aimed to touch on different kind of important parts related to the R&D, UK R&D roadmap. In this case, you'll be able to get very important products to the market to touch on everybody's life in a few years, rather than basically ending up with a POC that nobody uses. And I think this is the gap that such collaboration will enable us to do. We have to admit that in many projects, of course, not mainly in Innovate UK, but many projects just focus on basically developing a proof of concept or proving that this kind of idea is viable and the different kind of research parts. But there is a big gap between actually coming with research idea and academic innovation, putting it into practice in the real life. Just to give you an idea, one of the projects that we have been working with BT was in workforce allocation. And we realized that at one stage, we have to speak to the unions because we cannot actually allocate an engineer to a place without actually seeking the union opinion. And actually, this forced us to begin changing a lot of design aspects that related to the project. If we didn't do this, then we'll end up with a product that nobody can use. And I think with this kind of collaboration, which is existing between BT and universities, which are targeted by certain Innovation UK calls, certain targeted projects which come from Innovate UK, which are aligned with the UK R&D roadmap. A lot of important innovations, a lot of important breakthroughs, and research can come very quickly to the society, enabling the UK to be at the forefront of R&D in this kind of area.
Thank you very much, Hani and Rupal. We have one question from Sarah from BT on how we could encourage our PhD students to participate in events such as conferences and even what we are organizing here this week. So any thoughts on that, please, Carl?
Yeah, well, if I could be liquid encouragement for a second, I would say that I have been to probably 80% of the Tommy Flower. If there was one, there was a clash, so I missed out. But I've been to the vast majority of the Tommy Flower conferences since I became a student. And they have been absolutely invaluable opportunities for me, because not only did they give me a chance to look at what else was going around and make sure my research was relevant, but purely from a selfish perspective, they gave me an opportunity to network, to talk, to meet people and to talk to them and find out what they were doing. I think that there are a number of conferences where maybe students are encouraged to go by their supervisors and you get this kind of academic networking, but the list of industry conferences is much, much smaller. And off the top of my head, the two that spring to mind are Tommy Flowers and the SGAI AI conference. It has an application track. And really, those provided a lot of my opportunities for talking to people from industry. And what I would want to say to any students who are wondering what sort of conferences should I go to is never underestimate the power in talking to someone whose job is actually in the domain you're researching. I was tremendously fortunate to be collaborating with BT throughout the process of my PhD. But even if you're not, even if you're working on a PhD as an individual and are not associated with a company in any way, I've seen a lot of my colleagues benefit enormously from just talking to people at these events and learning from expertise. This applied side of research is such an interesting and B, an impactful area to get into, and there's no better place to do it than to talk to the experts. So from an advertising side, maybe that's something Tommy Flowers would like to consider, this sort of research meets industry sort of idea. I think this panel was a brilliant idea for getting some of those ideas across, for example, to encourage students to come. But from the student side, that's why I would really encourage you to do it. Great.
Thanks a lot, Carl. And yeah, Rupal, please, any thoughts on that in terms of your students have attended some of these events?
Yeah, they have all been attending the Tommy Flower networks, and they've attended other conferences which were related to BT, and they've put in for applications, and they've won awards in the business sector. So I think that engaging these real kind of conferences where you can see the application is important, and the students have benefited from this. My students have and will continue to attend these conferences.
Okay. Run out of time. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Rupal, Carl, Ken, and Hani. Very insightful. And yeah, I will now hand you over to Mike.